start us off with an opening statement.
Yes, very excited about this 24 season coming up. Really like our football team. A lot of good men that are very passionate about trying to have a very successful season. A lot of new faces, like always. You know, college football today, you're going to have a lot of turnover, and we had a lot of turnover from last year. So there's going to be a lot of new faces out there. I think the guys have done a tremendous job competing over the summer. I think we got a lot better as a football team over the summer. I like the culture of our locker room. I like the guys that we've added. Now we got to go put the pads on, go out there and compete and see who the guys are going to be running out on the field for us. You know, looking at offensively, looking at a veteran offensive line that I think can be really, really good for us, and big men lead the way. We will have a quarterback competition again here, have a couple really good quarterbacks that we need to let go out there and compete. I'll make a decision probably 2 weeks left before the first game. I'll make that decision. When I make that decision, that will be who runs out there first, who's starting for the first game. Nothing ever stays the same. It is always competition, and I think we have a really, really good quarterback room. So whoever that person is, they need to perform. They need to perform well. And I do think that room, it takes all those men in that room for us to win. As our conference and our schedule, we really have a competitive conference this year, have a competitive schedule. Open up with Alabama, which we're really excited about. Expect them to be a really, really good football team like they always are. But it'll be a great atmosphere for us to go down into in Tuscaloosa and get an opportunity to play them and see where we're at and try to go win that football game. And then we get to come home and play a really good EKU football team, an old rivalry. That's be awesome to be able to play that game. And then we have our first conference game, 100 Miles of Hate, with Middle Tennessee, and you know it'll be a very competitive game like it always is, and then we'll go from there. So I think the first 5 or 6 games for us will be a very good challenge, and we need to play well. But I do like our football team. Like anything in college football, you got to stay healthy, and you got to do things the right way to go win games. But with that being said, answer any questions that you guys have. Yes, sir.
Tyson, after you'd gone through the midweek games of last year, I think you're playing 3 this year, 2 at home. Will you change anything logistically preparing for those? And they're all one after the other, I believe.
Well, we try to stay on our normal weekly routine, you know, so whether you're playing on a Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it might be, you know, you try to stay on that 7-day schedule. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's a 6-day turnaround, and sometimes it's a 5-day turnaround, but we try to stay on our schedule as the best we can. You know, you're getting into the middle part of the season there, so you'll have some bumps and bruises and all those kind of things, so you have to be really smart about how you take care of your players. By that time, though, I think you kind of get in the groove of the season, and really it's just a matter of getting the game plan in and making sure everybody's healthy and mentally prepared to go play those games. I really enjoyed, to be honest with you, the weekday games. I thought it was great exposure for our conference. I thought it was great for recruiting, and I'm looking forward to the weekday games again. You know, I think a lot of times when you look at your home base, people were concerned maybe how does that affect attendance, all those kind of things. I thought for the most part our fans did a really good job of coming out and supporting us during those weekday games. But it's really important to get your brand out there, you know, and I thought to be a game that everybody can see across the country, it's national television. I got tremendous feedback, and I thought it helped us a lot in recruiting, a ton in recruiting. So looking forward to having those games again this year.
Tyson, I just want to ask you about going into this. Obviously, you've done this a few times now, but outside the quarterback competition, what are some of the big questions that you guys need to answer position battle-wise?
Well, I think receiver, we got some good depth there, and there's a lot of bodies there. You know, there's some of the veterans, some of the names that you know, the Dalvin Smiths, Easton Messers, K.D. Hutchinsons, Mike Matheson is back. But we added several guys too, you know, and some really good players. So there's going to be a lot of competition there. We got to figure out where that pecking order will be. And then also in the secondary, a lot of new faces in the secondary. Really like how we did in recruiting there. I think Coach Summers and his staff did a really good job of upgrading in the secondary, and there's a lot of new bodies there as well, so we got to let those guys compete. A couple new D linemen that, you know, we're excited about. So there'll be some competition in the interior part of the D line. Added a couple linebackers that might be able to help us to earn some starting positions. So like anything, we're looking at close to half your roster that's new, and so, which I don't mind. I think everybody's kind of that way in college football today, but we got to find out, you know, let those guys compete and see where we're at.
Coach, this is your first year on the Hill where the schedule lines up where it's home away every single week. Does that play into the mix, you know, going through the year, or does that, you know, get your team into more of a rhythm?
I think it gets you in a rhythm. I do think that. I did find that it's unique to have the home away. You know, last year we'd have one at home, two away, one at home, you know, so I don't mind having a home away throughout. I think our guys, we've been really good here over the years of, you know, on the road and enjoying playing those games on the road. You know, I think our guys really like going and traveling and experiencing the different new stadiums, different atmospheres. So I think it sets up pretty nice for us.
Yeah, Coach, I know they just passed the rule where support staff can now be like on the field and you know, Coach, how's that kind of set you up and change things on game day preparation and everything?
Well, I think it's a great rule change. I think it was much needed. It gives people an opportunity to excel in the profession. You know, it opens doors for people that otherwise wouldn't have been opened. It just gives everybody more opportunity overall. And I think how the amount of bodies you have out there and the high level of coaching that needs to take place, you need to have more staff. And so I think it was a good rule change. We'll utilize it very well. We've already started to put those pieces in place. You know, and the headsets are going to increase the headsets, so that allows you to have better communication, and you just get to focus a lot more on a specific individual. You know, I think every position to have two coaches is a very important thing, and we're able to do that here. Our administration has always given us the resources to be successful. They've allowed us to add staff members and all those kind of things, so I think it'll work well for us.
Just want to ask you about staffing, too. Obviously, at the top offensively, a new offensive coordinator in Will Friend. Just wondering what the attraction was to bring him aboard. And otherwise, it seems like this is a little more continuity than you guys have had recently as a staff.
Yeah, I was really excited to get Will on board here. You know, Will and I have coached together, known each other for 20-plus years, been at multiple stops together. We think a lot alike. He is a tremendous offensive mind. He is a veteran offensive line coach, SEC offensive line coach. I think really that's where he's most known. But what people don't know about Will is he can do it all. I think he is a player's coach. I think our guys have responded really, really well to him. And it takes a lot off of my plate because I know when he's in that room, he's in a unit meeting, he's coaching those guys, it might as well be me standing in front of those guys talking to them. So it's been really good for me. I get to focus on situations and different things that I want to do offensively and let him handle the offense. But excited that we added him. I think he's going to be really, really good for our staff.
I want to go back and talk about, like you said, NIL and transfer portal. It kind of seems like a revolving door. It changes all the time. But what's the, in your eyes, progression of the NIL program here and how that's benefiting, you know, your program and your players too? Yeah,
I think, to be honest, we were one of the leaders when the transfer portal first started, right? I think we were able to go out there and get a Bailey Zappi, a Jarrett Stearns, I think we've kind of laid the blueprint for what that transfer portal model might look like for college football teams. You look back 3-4 years later, a lot of teams are following that blueprint. I thought we were one of the first of the group of 5 to establish a strong NIL, group. Every time we saw those things coming in a year in advance and prepped for those things in a year in advance. Now we have coming up the scholarships. You're looking at a 105-man roster coming up. And, I think that's something that's going to take time for all of college football. I don't think, for the most part, your premier power 4 programs, they'll be okay. But I think it's going to take a couple years for the group of 5 to catch up. But, like I said, our administration has always done a great job of providing the resources for us to be successful. And so long as you stay a step ahead of the game every single time, that's going to equal winning. We've always done that here. But to answer that question on the NIL side, we have been pretty strong in that area right out of the gate. And like anything, though, we need to continue to grow, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind.
Tyson, if you could talk about the new press box, the stadium additions, and how they're coming along.
Yeah.
What that should do long term.
Yeah, the new field turf we've been able to work on all summer. It's fantastic. Great surface. Guys are really enjoying that. I know our fans will really like that in the home opener against Eastern Kentucky. They got about a month left on the press box. Doing a really good job there. Much needed. And looking forward to getting into that. And I think it's really just going to showcase our stadium a lot better. You talk about the weekday games and putting your brand out there, and, man, we got a beautiful stadium. One of the few stadiums that, right there in the heart of campus, great location, great atmosphere. So with the addition of the new field, the new press box, it's really going to showcase our brand really, really well. As you know, we got a big dirt hole next to the stadium. They are breaking ground on that. Yeah, and in the new indoor they're right on track from what I understand. It's going to take about a year. So hopefully by next summer is the goal to be in that new indoor facility, and that'll be really, really big for us. And it's a big part of recruiting as well. The one thing, getting back to the transfer portal, a lot of these guys that we recruit, you talk about the Power 5 programs, right? You talk about guys that transferring from maybe a Notre Dame, an Ole Miss. These are really nice facilities these guys are used to. But to see the reaction of when they walk into our facility and they see our stadium and they see our community and they see Bowling Green, they're very impressed with that. And so I think the addition of all the other new facilities is just going to really put us over the top.
Conference USA is back up to 10 schools for football this year, with Kennesaw State 12 next year. Just wanted you to touch on the state of the conference, and just looking at 12, would you be in favor of going back to divisions, and if so, how do you think that might look?
Excited about where we're headed with the conference. I said this 2 years ago. Conference USA has always done a great job of recreating itself, and I think with the additions of Kennesaw State, you look at where they're geographically located in the heart of Atlanta. They should do a great job in recruiting, and they'll be a very competitive football team. You look at Sam Houston, who came in last year, very easily could have been an 8-9 win football team. Lost some heartbreakers right down the stretch. My point is this: there's a lot of parity in this conference. And I know we do all the preseason rankings and all those things, but we're all about the same. We're all fight, scratching, and clawing every single week, and that's what you want in a competitive conference. I think this conference will continue to grow. We'll add some really good football teams. I think will be, if you get to 12, great. I don't have an answer on the division piece. I'll leave that up to the powers that be on that. My job is to put a great football team out there and win football games with whoever we play.
If you could talk about the early portion of that schedule too. This is about, just on paper, it looks like it's tough of a start for you guys, especially that 4-game stretch, non-conference, a couple of Power 5s in there, a good Toledo team. Just kind of discuss that.
Yeah, right out of the gate, Alabama, they're going to be a top team in the country. So, you get to kind of see what you're made of early. And I always talk about it's your full body of work, right? You've heard me say that all the time. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, and it's your full body of work. And in the past year, we've been pretty good down the stretch in November, and so we need to do that again. But there is a lot of competitive football teams. I like how our schedule sets up. I really do. It allows us, if we're having success and we're winning, we get to be one of the premier group of 5 programs that everybody's talking about and be a part of that national conversation. And that's what you're looking for every single year, just be a part of the national conversation in some area, some form or fashion. But again, I mentioned you got Alabama, you got EKU. Go to play Middle Tennessee, come home, play Toledo, and then you finish up on the road against Boston College. Never been up there. Here it's great. Our guys are excited to play Boston College. You come out of those first 5 games, though, and you're sitting in a good seat, now it's time to go make a run. But if you're not, that's okay, too. This team's been good down the stretch. So it really comes down to your full body of work and how your team responds throughout the season.
Any other questions for Coach? Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.